Hey bassists, let's take a look at my point of view from NAMM 2025 Day 1. So I would say that 1-minute footage of NAMM covers about 90% of what I did at NAMM. Because this is my third NAMM in a row, Eric and I kind of have a routine. We both only go to NAMM for one day. We always go day 1 on Thursday because it's the least crowded. The show floor room is open from 10 to 6 every day, but we got there around 12:30, 1 o'clock-ish. We traversed the NAMM grounds for about 4 hours that day and we covered most of what we wanted to see. There's a ton of things to do at NAMM besides going on the showroom floor. There's a ton of free classes that are available, as well as watching multiple bands perform. However, because multiple days can be kind of exhausting and I kind of know what I want to see, I just spend 4 hours going on the showroom floor. All right, let's review my 3 bass highlights from this year's NAMM. Number 1 by far is the Sterling bongo bass. Bass players have been waiting for an affordable Sterling bongo bass for years, and Sterling finally delivers in 2025. The new bongo basses come in these 2 gorgeous finishes, this black and then fire mist purple. The basses come at a great price too, starting at $700 USD. The only thing that I didn't like about this bass is that it's pretty dang heavy, but the shape of the body is pretty big, so it's kind of expected. This Sterling bongo bass release is the equivalent of like Epiphone releasing, the Mike Dirnt G3 or, a Flying V bass. It's just great to see that Sterling is releasing another bass that isn't a Stingray bass. Another bonus for us, it looks like that Sterling is also releasing more Sterling basses. They had one on the showroom floor that looks like it's going for $650, but I've also seen one on Guitar Center that's going for $400, so I don't really know what's going on there. My number 2 bass highlight from NAMM this year is the Sire booth. Coming out of left field, the Sire M's are getting a revamped with multi-scale and headless models. I really didn't expect much from Sire because they released the Z basses already last year, so for them to release a brand new model again is just fantastic to see. The Sire V7 and Z7 are also getting some fantastic sparkle finishes added. Another thing I overlooked at the Sire booth, they're releasing some P6 and maybe V6 basses, I'm not sure, but they definitely were showcasing some P6 basses that had no pickguard. I didn't even see them there, but I just saw them from Johnny Dibble's NAMM overview and they look great as well. And the third highlight for me was the Sago Dullahan Mina signature artist bass. Mina is a really famous bassist in Japan. She was formerly the bassist for this band Girlfriend, but she's gained a lot of popularity on Instagram and TikTok just doing bass videos. Mina has a signature Sago bass for over $3,000, so it's not getting in the hands of many bass players. It's great to see Sago releasing a more affordable Indonesian-made version of her bass, so a lot more bass players can get access to her signature bass. Her affordable version of her bass still comes in green and gold, which is my favorite color combination, as you can see back here. So it's great to see other artists releasing my favorite colors. So because I try to speedrun NAMM, there are some cool releases that I miss on the showcase floor. The first release that I miss is the Frank Bello signature Spectre bass. Frank Bello is the bassist of Anthrax, and his new signature bass comes in a gorgeous purple sparkle finish with EMG PJ pickups. I believe his signature bass is going for $1,250 or $1,300, which is a pretty good deal. You're really not going to find a purple sparkle P bass for that kind of price. The demo videos out there sound great, so that's definitely one bass I wish I was able to play at NAMM. Second on this list is the Digitech Mono Neon Whammy. I feel like I passed the Digitech booth, but I didn't see any advertisements for this, so this one might have been a Friday release. The Mono Neon Whammy is super unique to the Digitech Whammy lineup. It comes in a crazy orange and yellow finish, and it has like a 3-octave range and then some weird blend effects. It's not something that I would add to my arsenal, but it's definitely a very cool and unique release, and I'm glad that Digitech paired up with Mono Neon to release this. And then the third release I missed, which is technically not something that was released, is Dunnable. Dunnable was at NAMM 2025 this year, releasing their R2 V2 guitars that look fantastic. Dunnable was my favorite vendor in NAMM 2023, and that year they announced a Narwhal DE bass. The Narwhal DE bass has the body body shape similar to Mosrite Ventures, which is not a brand I heard of before. But anyways, that's the shape it takes, and then it has two great sounding double P pickups. I was really hoping for Dunable to release a DE version of the Asteroid or the R2V2 bass, or just even more metallic finishes for the R2 bass. Dunable basses are something I've been eyeing for 3 years, and I keep saying I'm gonna buy it, but I usually don't spend over $1,000 on a bass, and if I do, I really want it to be a metallic finish that I like, and I just haven't seen that from the R2 yet. Hopefully this is the year I get my Dunable R2. Now 3 Bass Lowlights from NAMM. Number 1 by far is the Fender Standard bass release. Like every NAMM, Fender is never on the showroom floor. They always have private rooms that are invitation only, so you can't really see their basses. However, I got access to the content creator room this year, and in that room they had the new Fender Standard basses and guitars. The Fender Standards used to be available as Mexican-made and American-made instruments, but they were both discontinued around 2017 or so. The Fender Standard Mexican-made line was replaced with the Fender Player, and then the Fender Standard American line was replaced with the American Professional. The Fender Standards used to be about $600 from what I can remember back in the day, but now the equivalent, the Fender Player, is about $800 to $850 for entry level. If you really want an entry level Fender, it's not as affordable. Fender recognized this gap in price point, and I think that's why they released the Fender Standard. These are actually Indonesian made, but they're $600, which is what we used to pay for an entry level Fender 8 years ago. While I do think it's great that some players can get an entry-level Fender now, I think it's a pretty underwhelming release for a Fender NAMM special. I think there are better quality basses that you can get for under $600 than the Fender Standard. I think Sire does a much better job. I'd say the Foles jazz bass is fantastic for the money, and then even Harley Benton would be better than this Fender Standard. Anyways, the thing about Fender is they don't really need NAMM releases. They're releasing products all year, so I'm sure we'll get something interesting from them later in the year, but we're just not going to get anything great from them during NAMM. Another lowlight for me was the Dingwall SP1. The Dingwall SP1 is basically their Super P standard or overseas bass. Dingwall introduced this bass in NAMM 2024. We are going to finally see it in production in spring of 2025. Overall, I think it's great. We're getting an overseas Dingwall P bass. They've been selling the D-Rock overseas model for a while now, and that thing is gorgeous. The finishes on the SP1 look cool, and it's a comfortable bass to play, but the price tag is going to be $2,300 USD, which is just a little disappointing to see. I get Dingwall as higher end, but I don't think I could ever justify paying $2,300 for an overseas bass. I actually could not really think of a third lowlight for NAMM. Overall, even though there weren't a ton of bass releases this year for me in NAMM, I'd say this was still by far my favorite NAMM. Being my 3rd year at NAMM, I kind of have the routine down, so I know exactly what I want to do and who I want to see. I pretty much got to do that this year, so I was pretty happy. I get a PTO day off of work and I get to hang out with my buddy Eric, but the main thing that was really the highlight this year were the connections at NAMM. The last 2 years at NAMM, I kind of missed all the content creators. I just didn't run into them, or we went on different days, but this year I got to meet everyone that I wanted to meet. The first 2 people I ran into were Sono Jono and Johnny Dibble at the Dingwall booth. I've been following both bassists for a long time, and they both make fantastic content. Their kind of content pushes me to make better content, so it's just great to see and talk to them in person. I also got to meet Lily Mitchell there. She makes some great content on Instagram, and then she also has her YouTube channel, and she makes gear reviews for Bass Gear magazine. I got really lucky. I just saw her as she was passing by, and she had a very busy itinerary, so I was glad I was able to catch up with her in person. That's another thing about NAMM. You don't really get reception on the showroom floor, so it's hard to coordinate with people. And then also people are just so busy talking to other people at the booths, it's just hard to see everything. I also got to talk to Cody of Westminster Effects. I worked on him with another video before, and it was just cool to see him in person. And that's really what NAMM is about, just making these connections with people and bringing all these musicians together. One other thing I learned at NAMM is that I need to upgrade my filming setup. Eric had a great tripod for his camera, and then he also had this microphone that I ended up buying now. It's just a little magnet. Before I had this like really janky $10 Amazon one. So I just really want to up the quality of my videos. I also did get some gear at NAMM. I got these Eargasm earplugs for free. All you had to do was sign up, but these are like $40 retail value, and they were free, and they also say the NAMM show on them, which is cool. Blacksmith was a brand I visited last year. They were here again, and they sell these coated strings for as low as $10. I got their premium one for $18, so I'm really excited to try these out. And then the last thing I got were these NAMM Labella tape wound strings. These are like their alien green strings, but looking back, I think I should have gotten their rainbow strings because they're just a little more neutral, but the way my brain is wired is like, I see something green, I want to buy it immediately, so that's why I got these alien strings. Overall, I had a great experience at NAMM this year, and I can't wait to go again next year. Thanks for watching, and let me know your favorite bass release from NAMM this year.